We are live.
Okay.
I just don't see it at the top this time though.
Let me just make sure that
Yeah, I don't either.
I see it coming through, but
Oh,
Yes.
there
I
it
see
is.
it. Okay.
We're officially live on Facebook.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Facebook, and welcome to Home Ownership Changed My Life. We're so excited about this episode as home ownership changed my life. It's definitely testimonial time where we get to hear from a millennial. And today we are realtist on realtist on realtist. My name is
On
Letitia
realtors.
Grant. I am the chair of House in the Car, and I am a realtist. And I am joined with Ms. Myronnie Smith, who is the Regional Vice President of Region 2, as well as the Senior Loan Officer of Canyon Mortgage. And we are joined with Mr. Tahir Andrews, who is also a realtist and an investor. So thank you guys for joining our virtual platform. Tahir,
Thank you.
tell us a little bit about you. Give us your name, your location, your age. Give us as much information as you'd like to share with our Facebook Live audience.
Definitely. Well, as you said, my name is Tahir. I'm a realtist as well, real estate agent with Destiny Realty, property investor, property manager, general contractor of my own properties, a real estate developer as well. So pretty much everything real estate wise, except for the whole loan aspect of it. I leave that to Maya. And I'm from North New Jersey.
North New Jersey, perfect. Now, what I did hear you say that your brokerage is Destiny Realty.
Destiny Realty, and my broker is Donnell Williams. He's the national president of NARED.
Good deal. Well, good. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. And you are joined today with Miss Myronnie Smith.
Hey guys, I just wanted to say that Tahir has a really great story. I don't want to take away from it, but I am senior loan officer at Canyon Mortgage. I do commercial, hard money, and residential loans nationally. And I was able to help Tahir. He owns 3 properties and he started out very young. So I would really like Tahir to take over and talk about it.
So Tahir,
Okay.
she said you started off very young. So as a young investor, what is it that made you decide, first of all, start with where were you prior to making the decision to become an investor?
I think I was where a lot of people are, just trying to make it through life. Honestly, it's not that everyone has that, rags to riches story, but a lot of times people I know get into real estate from another field. So where I was previously, I was a teacher in North Public School System, and it really wasn't for me to be in that career and retire, but it was something that I did because at the time it was right. I got a lot of great experience in teaching, a lot of great experiences overall, but I knew it really wasn't for me. And getting into real estate was something that was a little bit more appealing because it really meshed well with my personality. I didn't want to work for anyone. I didn't want to have to, struggle for a paycheck every couple of weeks, busting your behind, waiting for that payday, waiting for Friday and living life, everything that I would say that the vast majority of people, that I know go through. When I
Right.
first got into real estate, it was during the housing crash. So it was kind of experienced the housing crash 2008, 2009. When the market crashed, I was actually getting into it. And so
Mm-hmm.
and that was just me getting into it as a real estate agent. When I got into it as an investor, it was because I wanted the freedom. I wanted to own my own home. I wanted to be able to, have my own land. I wanted to be able to be a landlord. I wanted to just do for myself,
Yeah.
make money as I sleep. We hear all these things that get people enticed into real estate. But, for me, it was like, let me not just think about it, let me do it as well. So I bought my first house when I was 29, multifamily. It was a 3 family, and I still go there almost every other day. You know,
Yeah.
and three
It's
houses later, or two
three
houses later,
houses later.
two houses
It's
later.
in. it's that pride, that pride in ownership, regardless if you're actually occupying the property or if you're an investor. And I share a similar background with you, surprisingly enough. I taught sixth grade math for 3 years, and I love educating, but in the public school system, it just wasn't what I anticipated it to be.
Yeah.
So I ran rather quickly, and I entered the real estate industry as well when it was low. So it's funny because every year thereafter, people would say, how's the market for you? And I would be the one to say, every year it just keeps getting better. And they're looking at me like, what do you mean? And I entered it at the worst time possible.
Mm-hmm.
So Maya, one of the reasons that we like to have, and in this case, we're going to have the realtist on. But one of the reasons why we like to have the realtist on with the millennial is because what we have realized is the millennials are so modest, and they always think that what they've done is just average. So you tell us a little bit about Tahir's first purchase.
Well, I actually came in on his second purchase.
Okay.
So I hadn't met him at the time that he bought his first purchase. So actually, this is really good to know, because anybody that wants to buy another house, he bought a 3-family for his second purchase. So you use the rental income to qualify him to buy his second home. And you only need 20%, 25% down. The guidelines have changed a little bit. Sometimes they want more reserves at some banks. But it's my job as a broker to find a bank that you wouldn't have to have that criteria. But right now, for at least a 2 or 3 family, you still need like 20, 25% down. But Tahir, it took the fear out of him. And he was transitioning at that time. He was still working at the school. And I was able to qualify him that way with his pay stubs. But by the time he bought his second property, he was able to make that change and become a full-time realtist, which he is now. And he's doing very well. And I'm really proud because he bought 2 homes.
Yeah.
So now I'm on my 3rd property, and I'm also doing some investment with the city of Newark as well, in a developer role. So I'm buying a couple of lots for the city and developing on them. So it's kind of like, you start one way in life, and then you change, you turn, and you take this direction, that direction, and then eventually you find a path that really you were meant to be on. And I think this is why homeownership has definitely changed my life, because it's allowed me to do everything I wanted, which was to have my financial freedom, which is to be able to live my life on my own terms. And not much is also said about being a landlord and being able to provide people with housing, with suitable housing that's safe for people, and, just doing the right thing as a landlord, as opposed to just making money, but, being there and providing a house for someone and their family to live in. So it's a blessing. And I thank Maya and all of her hard work with me over the years, even before she helped me with my property. That lady has helped so many of my clients and so many of other people's clients realize their dream of home ownership. And that's something that we can't take for granted, because, we're in a society now where people are more comfortable being renters and owners. So they never really get to have that freedom, have the shelter that they own in their own name, to be able to provide for their family in case the worst happens. You have a house,
Right. You have a house that you can refinance. You have a home that you can rent out for additional income. And Tahir, in New Jersey, of course, I'm from Texas. So everyone knows, as soon as I start talking, oh, you're from Texas. Well, I'm from Texas. So things here are a little different as far as, pricing is concerned. But let's talk about what that means when you're buying a multi-unit property. Does renting out those other units just about cover your mortgage payment, or what does that look like in New Jersey?
It all depends. When I got into the market, like I told you guys, I really got into it when the market was down during the crash. But that was when I first got into it as a realtor. as an investor, it took me a couple of years of doing real estate. So really, I was and I started investing when the market was at the absolute lowest. So
Mm-hmm.
there is a God, whatever people want to call him. I always thank God that I got into it at the right moment. So the
Mm-hmm.
reason I say that is because when I bought my first investment property, and depending on where you're living, you might think, oh, that's a lot, or oh, that's nothing. But I bought
Mm-hmm.
my first investment property for about $110,000.
Mm-hmm.
Did you
Um,
say 110?
110. It's a multifamily, so it has three
Yes.
individual living units in it, as well as an unfinished basement. So when I bought that property, the mortgage on it was maybe 1,200 a month, or about 1,100
Mm-hmm.
when I first bought it. I mean, it was a substantial mortgage, and it also covered the taxes. Everything was escrowed in. So that one 11 or $1,200 mortgage payment covered the taxes, covered the homeowner's insurance, and it covered the principal and interest on the loan as well as the PMI, the mortgage insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So I had three individual living units in it. The first unit was rented out already, thankfully. Sometimes the little things really help investors when you get an investment property that already has tenants in it. You get it, and then by the time you close, you're good. You got rent coming in. So if you live in one of the units, the other unit is rented.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get into something where you're completely responsible and have to figure out, oh my God, I paid all this money to close. I don't have money to pay, the mortgage payment for the following month. But I didn't have to worry about that. So the first floor unit was rented at $1,200, and that already covered my, complete mortgage payment. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. But there was also a unit above it and a unit above that. All the units were rented at $1,200. So
Right.
it was a blessing, and it was when the market crashed, people were scared. I have to sell, and it was at the lowest, the time of most volatility in the price. It was just really low. Nowadays, the same market, that house is worth about maybe 350 to
Correct.
400,000. So it was a blessing. Not everyone has that same type of experience on their first house, but I believe there's a God, so I definitely give thanks that that was my first housing experience, as opposed to some people who may have got into it when the price was at the highest and ultimately had to lose it.
Right. So, what I do want to remind everyone is Tahir stated that he was in education, in the field of education, when he purchased his first home. So, it's not just the knowledge that he's gained since he's been a realtist that has propelled him to this particular situation or where he is today. So, when he purchased his first home, he basically took a chance and then realized that he wanted to be an investor. Now, I know today is not Financial Fact Friday, but what Tahir just gave us was some financial facts. His
Yeah.
mortgage payment was 11 or 1200. He rented one unit for 1200, and the other two units could also rent for 1200. Now, I taught sixth grade
Mm-hmm.
math, so
Mm-hmm.
those are easy numbers.
Very easy.
That's right.
Very round, easy
Maya,
number to
And
work
then
with.
I just want to bring something to the table. Now he bought it at what, 110,000 at that time? Now
Yeah.
the house prices are 350,000. So
yeah.
everybody's probably saying, "Oh boy, what is it going to happen, for me now?" At a $350,000 house, if you have two other units at 1,600 rent and your mortgage is only 2,000, you're way over the threshold of your mortgage payment and you have excess money for yourself.
Yeah.
Now, Maya, as a mortgage broker, can
Mhm.
we talk about what you can do with that extra money?
You can actually use it to buy your interest rate down. There are different things that you can do. What I always tell people is to try to have a cushion, but you're moving into a house with a cushion. Tahir has taken it on himself to do the repairs. So that
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
extra money is repair money if anything happens in the property. That's an ideal situation. You want to have a market rent that is above and beyond your mortgage payment so you have excess money in case anything happens in your property.
And they
Yeah.
do. They happen very often. They happen
That's why you
very
see where
often.
Taya Hair is right now. Aren't you fixing up your property right now?
Yeah, so I evicted this tenant for
Ooh,
the unit that I'm currently in. It happens.
I know.
No matter how much we want to think we can prepare ourselves and screen and screen and screen away, it happens. Eventually, you're going to evict the tenant. So this tenant was in here before I bought the property. So, there are things that you get into when you become a landlord, and there's always something new. This was the first type of situation I've had, that this tenant was in here for so long, 16 years, and her rent from the previous landlord. And, I'm going to give out as much information as I can without giving out personal information, because I don't really agree with that.
Sure.
Right.
But her previous rent was $800 a month, and that was before I bought the house. And when I bought it, completely renovated as much as I can. And 800 for the year 2020 is just, it's unheard of in this area for a
Exactly.
2-bedroom. Maybe in certain areas, but not this area. So, I tried to, using rent control laws, go up to a reasonable amount. I went up to 810. She decided, hey, I don't want to pay that extra $10. So yeah, so it is what it is. We went through the process, evicted her, but she was in here for so long. Now that she left, the entire apartment has to be renovated. So strip the floors out, strip the apartment down as much as I can, the bathroom, the kitchen, the bedrooms, and you know, at this point I'm gonna put everything in, renovate it myself, and get ready to rent it back out.
Right. And I'm also glad that you mentioned that, because this is home ownership changed my life. So of course,
Yeah.
as realtors, we are promoting home ownership. We are promoting home ownership for several reasons. But another reason that many people can relate to is, from year to year, rent changes. Those rental, what you pay in rent will increase from year to year. She's been there for 16 years. God only knows what she started off paying. And
800.
now we have to raise her rent, because as a landlord, you can't pay the bills if you don't raise the rent. So
Exactly.
taking your destiny, and it's funny you work for Destiny Realty, but taking your destiny into
That's why
your
I chose
own
them.
hands, right? Taking your destiny into your own hands and becoming a homeowner, and allowing being a homeowner to change your life is a
Yes.
good message as well.
Yes, yes. And another thing I have to mention, you have to have a good team behind you. And I've known Maya for years. She's worked with me at the same office in Destiny Realty, and I've learned a lot from her. And I've been able to utilize her services to help some of my clients get into their first homes ever. People that I've gone to school with, people that I've known for a long time have used her, have gotten houses, and 2, 3 years later, they're calling me. It's the best decision I've ever made, and I can't believe it took this long to do so. And and it's not always easy. I remember plenty of times I've talked to Maya, and she's talked to me about how sometimes people come into it with the wrong ideas about how to qualify for a loan. We've had situations where we had clients quit their job during the process, and it's kind of like things happen. It's life, but it kind of makes our job as realtors, as loan officers, as people who really genuinely want to help people get into a home a little bit more challenging. But education is definitely key, and one of the things we do at NARAD is we provide seminars, we provide educational opportunities for people to really learn about the home buying process, about the mortgage process, about buying a home and fixing it up. Everything you need to know to see that this is a decision that it's very real and very beneficial. So,
Yeah.
I tip my hat off to her. I tip my hat off to my broker, Donnell. To my parents, my mom, my dad, everyone who's inspired me and let me know that this is something that is very real, and it's something that everyone should do.
Beautiful.
And I just
Beautiful.
want to share something really for everybody. Anybody that's sitting on the fence and is really afraid, we're here to take the fear out of it. You might not be ready right now, but we can make you home ready. We know how to work with your debt, your income. We have calculations. We can help you with your budget. I know House in the Car has a pre-purchase counseling service. You can go online to houseinthecar.com and you can take the pre-purchase counseling class and get the grant for the first-time homebuyer grant. Now, as a lender, I also provide grants for down payment assistance. But please don't be afraid. Get ready, get started. You have a whole team here. Letitia's doing a fabulous job with House in the Car.
Thank you.
There should be no fear.
Yeah.
No fear.
Yeah. No fear. My family says, my dad says it ain't nothing to it but to do
To
it.
do
So
it. That's
just
right.
do it. Well, I want to thank you guys so very much for joining me today on Homeownership Changed My Life. Thank you, listeners, for joining us, viewing us today on Homeownership Changed My Life. Please stay tuned. Continue to follow, like on social media. Check out houseinthecar.com, House in the Car's website on houseinthecar.com. We are on all social media outlets, and check out our YouTube channel. Thank you all once again for joining us on Home Ownership Changed My Life. Thank you, Tahir and Myrani Smith.
Thank you.
You
Thank you
guys
so
have a
much.
great one. Bye-bye.
God bless.
You too.